Damsels! Welcome back to another episode of Damsels After Dark. If you're new here, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Kristen.
And on our corner of the internet, we rant, rave, obsess, love on, hate all things books.
Today we'll be reviewing The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Rene.
And again, if you're new here, our episodes are structured pretty much the same. We'll do a basic summary, we'll do our reviews, then we'll jump into spoilers where we'll talk about our hated and loved parts.
If you want to follow along with us, our reading and review schedule will be linked in the description below.
Without further ado,
let's jump into it. Okay. I don't know if you could tell, our voices are pretty icky. We're not feeling too good. We're both kind of sick. Everybody's been getting sick around here, so it's just getting passed back and forth.
Yeah. I don't know how Kristen and I got the same sickness.
Don't know.
We have not seen each other for like 3 weeks, I want to say. And somehow we ended up sick at the same time with the same shit.
Made no sense.
Yeah.
It made no sense. We even tried to, once you messaged me and told me that you weren't feeling good, I was just like, okay, cool, we'll try and, not meet up so we don't do this. Because every time one of us gets sick, we just get sick for, a month because we keep giving it to each other. Mm-hmm. So we're like, okay, maybe we can avoid it this time. Nope. We're sitting here sick. And we just got better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, the good thing is that because we record on the weekend, and so we record every other weekend, and so it's good. I thought it still is good because we're here, but the brunt of it was last weekend for us. And bad. So we would not have been able to record. So it's nice that it happened on our off weekend because I swear every time we get sick, it happens on our record weekend.
Mm-hmm. Every time.
But so if you're wondering while we're sniffing and coughing and sounding obnoxious, it's because we're sick. But we're here because we have a really good book to discuss.
Yes, I am super excited about this book. I remember when I read it without you. It was just one of those books I had to find something to read. And I was like, oh, I'll read it. It's in my TBR. And when I read it, I was just like, oh my god. There's one scene in particular, so I'm not going to say it's a spoilers, but there's one scene in particular that was like, this has got Crystal's love trope, right here. I was super excited, so I was trying to tell her, because I knew if I told her, she'd forget by the time it was time to read that, because I did tell you about it. And I was like, oh, I can't wait for Crystal to read it. She's gonna love it.
Yeah, I love that Kristen was like, I hope you like it.
Yeah.
So it was like, this book was made for me. Every part of this book it's checking all the boxes for me. I'm obsessed. And I am also, it's been a while. And Kristen and I were talking about it last time. You know, other than The Last Hour of Gone, which is good on different levels other than what my standard levels are, my books have been 1s, 2s, and 3s so far in the season. So I was really desperate. And so when this came across to my desk, I gobbled this shit up. And it's so bad because it's a short book.
It is a short book. And just to let you know, they're practically, we'll get more into it when we do ratings and stuff, but it's a banter book. Yeah. This book is more about banter. And I don't really like banter books, but if the banter's hitting nice, I don't give a shit what's going on. Everything else could just not exist. And I need some really good witty banter. And not just witty banter, but banter that will make you, drop your jaw.
Yeah.
What did he just say? What did she just say? So it's a jaw-dropping banter book.
Yes.
Because it is no, he didn't just say that, so.
To piggyback off of all that Kristen said, there's literally nothing else going on in this book. The banter and the enemies to lovers sort of romance, the slow burn, that's what's drawing this book forward. The plot is non-existent. Essentially we are with Naira, and she is this princess that escaped her castle and her cruel dad, and her dad rules with an iron fist and is sort of taking advantage of the civilians. Yeah, that's the word. He has these tiths. That is how you say it. Tiths.
I don't know if it's tits or tights. I think it's tights. I'm gonna go with tights, but okay. I don't know.
Tiths that the civilians have to pay in magic, and so everyone's kind of worried about that. I think he probably kills people who can't do it. I think that's the consequence. But anyway, so we meet her, and she's escaped, and she's living on the streets as this thief, and she gets caught at some point. She's put underneath a dungeon, and then she's taken. So you get this POV switch to the other. I cannot say his name.
It's Dacre.
Dacre.
I actually put it in the notes on how to pronounce it.
I was not saying Dacre.
I
Decree
read this.
Is what I was saying.
I read this and knew from the beginning, like from the first time I read it, what his name was. And when I was rereading it, I still forgot. So I had to go back, and it wasn't until I was writing in our notes the character list. I was like, "It is Dacre."
That's funny. I've been calling him everything. I'm calling him Daiquiri because I just don't know. So as my mind's going, I'm like Daiquiri, Dake, Da. I don't know, whatever the fuck your name is. So if I say his name wrong, just know that that's the correct pronunciation. I'm just gonna throw whatever's in my head at the time. But we get his POV switch, and he's down there, and he's rescuing his sister. He ends up taking them both, his sister and our main character, to the Rebel Lands because he is the son of the Rebel King, and the Rebels this force that's growing to. Or not the Rebel King, the Rebel Leader. Yeah. And the Rebels are there to sort of plot and plan to overthrow the current king. And that's the story.
that is the story. Like, there really is nothing else going on. The funny thing about this book that when I was reading it, it's a very pretty book. It's black and pink and, like, all that stuff. But it's like, I read it. All the books were not out. It's a trilogy. All the books are out now, as of the 18th. So by the time you watch this, I'm assuming, I think it might be released by then, or about to be released. So yeah, just know that it is just being completed. It is a just completed series. So there's cliffhangers. These are cliffhanger books.
These are bad cliffhangers.
Bad good.
Bad in the best way.
Like, depending on how you view these books. But yeah, it's funny. But there's content warnings, so I'm just gonna give them out right now. Content warnings because, like, please understand, this is a toxic MMC. Yeah. Toxic MMC. So if you're not a toxic MMC lover, if you don't like the red flags, that even the morally gray, this is more, I don't want to even say it's morally gray when it comes to the way he treats her. I guess it depends on how you view morally gray, but he's toxic. There's no denying that. So it's sexually explicit, there's violence, there's assault, mature language, themes, and content that's not suitable for all readers. I like how it says all readers instead of under 18 or 18 plus, because, I mean, I don't necessarily believe there's a lot of violence in this book to make it seem like it's gory or anything.
No, not really. I mean, there is some, like, abuse. There's an argument for sexual abuse that's happening if you want to perceive it that way.
Yeah, I guess it depends.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot of gore. It's more just like you have an abusive MMC, essentially. If you want to look at it that way. For other people, you might just say he's toxic and you might be into it, and that's also okay.
Yeah, I think he's toxic. I wouldn't consider him abusive. I know some people, like, it's borderline. Even if it's, like, kind of touches the line, it's to them it's like it's a no-go. Completely fine. But then go read contemporary romance that has your sunshine kind of MMC,
your knight in shining armor.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's your love. That's how you want it. But
yeah, so I mean, that's the story is just revolving around this hidden princess and this rebel leader's son, and it's their dynamic and what they're doing, sort of, to get together. Like, there really is no plot. Like, I want to give more to help you understand it, but it's just based around their dynamic. And for this book, I mean, maybe if you zoom out and you look at all three books, I could tell you what the plot is, but for this particular book,
I kind of think there's probably gonna be none.
I'm hoping at the end I'm gonna get a little bit more,
I don't know. I mean, we're 2 books in, and there's still no plot.
It's like we're following an event, like an episode of a show. You're just following just the small topic of this, which is their budding relationship.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything other than that.
No.
I mean, it's low fantasy, even though it has magic. The magic is practically non-existent in this book.
Or explained.
I don't understand. Mm-hmm. Don't know how the king is able to get magic from other people. I don't know anything about the magic system other than it does exist. And also, they're fae. You never really hear about it. I remember reading it the first time and being like, oh, they're fae. Forgetting that completely after reading it once. Reread it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, they're fae. And then forgot about it, and so I talked to you a few days ago, and you're like, they're fae?
Yeah, I missed that. And then I saw I saw a comment that said that they mentioned once that they were Fae 70 pages in. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
You know what? I was so deep in the banter and stuff. I flew right past that. I didn't even see it.
Yeah, it took a long time to find out they were Fae. And I don't think it should take that long. I think it should be pretty much in the first few chapters.
Yeah, a little bit of an explanation. So they say it in book 1. And then I didn't remember it. We did talk about it. But I didn't get clued into it again until the very fucking end of book 2.
Because it matters at that point.
It matters, and they say a specific word, and you're like, oh, that's not a human thing.
Yeah.
That's a Fae thing. Or an otherworldly thing, I guess is not specific to Fae. But anyways, it's that they're not human. But so, yeah, you know, not much going on. But with all that being said, we can jump into our ratings.
Yes. You want to go first?
Yes. I can go first. So, with all of the lack of plot and nothing going on, I give this book a 4.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed. No. I don't care. I love this book. It was just hitting all the right spots for me. And it may be that I'm deprived. It may be that I haven't had a good book like this in a long time. But these are hitting so good.
To be fair, though, I read this when I wasn't deprived. I read this sometime during our medical reread or something. I can't remember. I was reading it during one of our Hermione phases.
Okay.
And I still liked
so you were
book.
full and you still liked it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not crazy.
No.
This book just delivered for me. I don't know. I love the FMC. She's feisty. I think within the first couple pages, she's punching him in the face. I'm here for this sort of feisty, no damsel in distress. She's standing on her own 2 feet. She's handling her own shit. I really like that. And we do see her as a thief, too. So she's, living in the slum. She's, handling her own business, and I like that. Of course, I love MMC, and I'm not apologizing for it. He is book boyfriend material, in my opinion. We'll have to see how the end of this whole series goes. But, he is such an asshole. Red flags are everywhere.
Yes.
But I'm out here like Neo. I'm out here like Helen Keller. I don't see it. I don't hear it. I am all about this MMC. He's brutal. He's broody. He's possessive. He's got that commander swag. Mm-hmm. I'm salivating over him. I love him. I can't even say his name. But I don't need to. Yes, sir. That's what I say. As Kristen already said, the banter here is top notch, and it really is what the book is leading on entirely. It's giving the enemies to lovers vibes, and it has this wonderful dynamic that I like of the rebel leader's son versus the secret princess, and it's such a cliche situation, but I don't care. I'm it's working. However she's managing with all of this magic to do it, it's working for me, so it's fine. I like it. I'll eat it up. And we already did touch on it, but I'll just reiterate it for my review section, that this book would almost be a fucking 5. But the thing that is holding me back is that there really is nothing to this book. There's no earth-shattering emotions that I'm having. When you dig into it, there's nothing here.
Nothing.
It's mainly this filthy mouth commander and this secret princess that's running the show, but you know what? They're doing a fucking fantastic job. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's a 4. It won't be a 5. I need more for a book to be a 5. I gotta know some more shit.
Yeah.
But whatever she's doing here is doing it well. So bravo. For spice, I gave it a 3 out of 5. There are 3 spicy scenes in this. Yeah. Every one of them is fucking phenomenal. But it's not too much. But it's spicing for me. I love her spice.
Oh yes.
Her spice. I was there was some moment.
Yes.
Well, I'm fanning myself. I'm like, oh my god. What did he say? Oh, what did he do? Whoa.
I know. I couldn't wait for you to read it. Oh, I'm so excited.
And they didn't feel repetitive. Everyone was unique. It was hidden, and it was golden. I usually get bored of spice, but I was waiting for the spice. I liked it. It was great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No plot, but somehow you pull through. You pull through the 4.
Right? And the funny thing is that every time we've talked about a book, we're like, I don't understand how this isn't working out. You could at least do this and have plot. And this didn't need plot. This is one of those books where if the banter's good and your characters are good, plot doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yep.
So you could go the other way. If the plot is good, then who cares about this, right? But if the banter's good and the characters are good, then who cares about the plot? So you could go either way, apparently.
Apparently,
yeah.
As long as you can fully execute it well.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, sometimes you want to eat a feast. But sometimes I want girl dinner. And this is straight up girl dinner.
Yeah.
This is just all of the good shit that you want out of a book with none of the filler.
Yeah. No thinking.
No, fuck. Just eat it right up. It's just as good. And I don't care.
Yep.
But yeah, so 4 to 5.
So I agree with everything Crystal said. Everything. And I'm so happy she likes this because I would be super upset if you didn't like this book because I was like, this book is made for Crystal. Because, like, even though I'm definitely a high fantasy, low fantasy person, I love plot. Plot is what makes it. This is probably one of those first books I have read with no plot. And I didn't realize I was like, at the very end of the book, it actually took me the second book. The second book is what made me realize, I like books with no plot. What happens to me? But the banter makes you forget because it's so, like, it's so surprisingly good and juicy and toxic that you're just like, oh my god, I don't give a shit about what the hell's going on.
Sucks you right in.
Yeah, it really did. Also, I really enjoy the POV switches.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. These POV switches hit just great. I love them. I love the idea that we aren't wasting time on bullshit. When I tell you I hate the intricacies of, like, you want to tell me a good world building story, great. But, like, if you are taking way too long to get to a fucking point, I can't stand it. Or if you're talking too much about something and then it doesn't end up creating some kind of jaw-dropping, mic drop, like, incident based off of all this time you put into describing something, then I get bored. Mm-hmm. I love that she wasted no time pretending or hiding the fact that she's a princess. So, like, you as a reader know she's a princess. You as a reader know that he doesn't know what the fuck's going on with her. So you know everything when they don't. And I love that. I love the fact that we already clued into everything. So the author doesn't have to explain anything to us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so when finally he uncovers it, it's not like an aha moment. It's a more like, oh shit, what did he just do with that information? Yeah. So you're following along the story knowing everything already. Yeah. And it doesn't, you don't have to think about it because it's already provided to you. Mm-hmm. And not in a way that makes you feel stupid. No, yeah. It's just like, oh, that's how it is. Yeah. And it's great. So I don't waste any time with the bullshit. And because of that, the book is a lot shorter because it didn't need any of that. Yeah. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, so covered all the fluff. Yeah. And all the plot.
Who needs it? We got banter like this, who fucking needs it, right? Yeah. I love the possessive MMC. That's definitely what's in here. The toxic, possessive, obsessive, jealous MMC is what's here. Okay, that is the plot to me. The plot is this guy's absurd, crazy jealousy, and I love it. I love it. It's definitely enemies to lovers kind of trope there, because she hates him, he hates her. Like, it's discussed so much, but I love every time he says she hates him or he hates. I love it. I love it. A filthy mouth, of course. That's like a given. You have to have a filthy mouth if they hate each other. Mm-hmm. It's filthy hate mouth too. Ooh. It's like...
It's filthy everywhere.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, there's no world building. The magic system is pretty much not there. Blah, 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 blah. We've already discussed all that. Sexual tension through the roof, okay? If there is no sex, there's sexual tension. That sexual tension is spicy. Mm-hmm. I give it the spicy 2 out of 5, though, only because there's not enough sex per se. But the sexual tension is what really builds this. And when I think of sexual tension, I don't put that into a spice meter, but maybe I should. If I did, it'll probably be closer to a 3. But I think one scene is what makes the spicy 5. Like, there's one scene in particular I'm like, this is a 5 in spice, but it's not, because nothing really happens. It's just the tension, and the tension is so thick it borderlines on, like, it's practically sex. Yeah. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. You just gotta be there. Yeah. But his pissy, grumpy attitude towards her and all that makes the spice even great. It's almost like it's a punishing type of toxicity spice, and I'm here for it. Don't fucking care if the red flags are red flagging. I don't fucking care. I'm colorblind right now with that shit. I don't fucking care. I was just not only wondering what he was going to say next, just regular banter, but what was he going to say next in the sexy talk?
Yeah.
He was the first guy I'm just like, keep saying. Keep talking.
Right? Yeah.
I never felt like that in any other MMC. Mm-hmm. I wanted them to shut the fuck up and do so. But him, I want him to talk. There's nothing he could say that does any wrong, even though it's wrong. Like, how does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Everything he says is wrong, but it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, you could talk to me. The funny thing is she doesn't even know what to say.
Yeah.
She is so dumbstruck by what's coming out of his mouth.
And the worst part is that she's a virgin, too. So it's just like her first experience and everything, and she's just like, Yeah,
because she's a princess that was pretty much sheltered and only saw like 3 people in her whole fucking life.
This is a wild first ride for her.
And he has no idea, though.
No, he doesn't.
Because he thinks that he doesn't know she's a princess. Like, he
doesn't know anything about her.
No. He just thinks she works at the palace. Yeah. Yeah, so like... I'm in love with him.
Yeah, me too.
I just love him. But yeah, that's my overall ratings. Time for Goodreads.
So 2 solid 4s.
Yeah.
Which is not too far off from Goodreads. So Goodreads gave it a 3.83 out of 47,000 reviews. That's a lot of people who read this.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised. Also, just this little tidbit, it was nominated for Reader's Favorite Romantasy in 2004.
I actually nominated it too.
Did you? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Kristen put in her vote.
Yeah, because it was last year. I read it last year, and I was like, I voted for this one, and I think one of the because this was adult. I think there's adult romantasy.
Oh, okay.
And then they had a young adult, so like I did this one for I think the adult. I was just like, I don't give a shit. It was my 5 for the year.
Yeah, it's great. So we'll get to the 1-star reviews, and you girls over here are cracking me fucking up. So I'm excited to get to these. So the first one is from Tasha, and she says, y'all will just call anything enemies to lovers. If you want to read degrading sex scenes with a vaguely fantastical plot you can kind of see in the far distance, this is the book for you.
That's so true, though.
It's so true. Like, I can't even be mad at any of what you guys are saying because you're right. You are right.
The next one?
Yeah. The next one is from Surrey, and she says, plotware.
There is no plot.
There's not. There's no plot, guys. Amy Lee, this is a good one. It's a little bit long, so bear with me. Amy Lee says, no book has ever made me rage as hard as this one. This is utter trash, and although everyone is allowed their own opinion, I will fight you if you like this or the male lead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but if you're dukes, we're gonna fight because I love them.
It's just disgusting, and I have so many issues with so many things. It's honestly shocking. Female wrote this book. Excuse me while I never stop talking about all the toxicity and red flags here. And not even the fun toxic red flags. The throw this in the fire pit type of toxic. On one hand, I want to see how the fuck she plans to carry the story into another book.
Me
On
too.
the other hand, I don't want to humor any type of support by even rage reading book 2. Just you. Fucking you.
Listen, it's okay. You don't gotta like it. I understand. Everybody has their threshold for toxicity, but mine is... This doesn't even reach the threshold of toxicity for me.
No, you know what? No. If you want to reach a threshold of toxicity, you can watch our Haunting of Adeline series.
Oh.
Like, those are red flags that we chose not to ignore.
Yeah.
But that's where our line is,
Yeah.
honestly, there. So unless you're straight up raping me,
Yeah.
I don't really in a book. And I say me, obviously, because I'm just embodying the main character when I'm reading. So, like, those are the red flags. I think for us, that's where we both kind of hit it. But other than that, like, you could almost do anything. I mean,
this is book world.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot in book world besides just doing it with this is meant to be fun and, just entertaining. Like, I don't know. I feel like if I'm reading the boring, good Disney prince, I'm not going to really enjoy the book.
No.
We've read so many different types of things. I need my man to be a little unhinged. I need him ripping throats out. And a good guy's not going to do that.
No.
He's going to...
And somebody who's ripping throats out is going to have a dirty mouth, is going to be possessive, is going to be unhinged.
Yeah.
And so, you take that bad with that good, all that good.
Yeah, that's who he is.
Yeah, so... Yes, none of these 1-star reviews are incorrect. There is no plot, and he is toxic and a red flag. If you're not into red flag, guys, this is not a book for you.
No.
If you want a story that has intricate storytelling plot, and this is also not the book for you. This is just a fun, wild ride of junk food.
Yes.
It's all, if you're an enemies to lovers girly, if you're a slow burn, I would say it's kind of slow burn. I like slow burn. I would say that this, it's not like super slow. right? We still get some stuff in the beginning, but because it's like enemies fucking, because it's punishment fucking most of the time. It's not the love hasn't crested. It's just the sex.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's who this type of book is for. Everybody else should just sit this one right out.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But yeah, so I guess that sums it up. We were pretty much right with the norm, right around a 4. So I think that's fair.
Yeah.
We're right on track. But now we can get to our favorite part, which is the spoilers. Okay, so one of my best favorite parts was when I want to say Decree. What is it? Dacre. Jesus.
And her name is Nira.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I don't say her name Nira either. I say Naira.
That sounds much better. Nira.
That's what it said in the thingy in the front. So in the front of the book, it has like just how to pronounce the names.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, when Dacre.
I just call him Day.
Okay, we'll just call him that.
Yeah.
Day and Nay.
No, I was saying Day and Nye.
Day and Nye. Oh, I like that. I'm just gonna go with that.
That's what I was saying.
Okay, when Day, he leaves to go out on patrol with his dad, and she's supposed to train with Kai, but she just decides that she's gonna go train with Aaron.
Yeah, I call him Aaron.
Okay. He gets back. He's super upset about it, and he forces her to go outside and show him what Aaron taught her, and they're going back and forth, and it's just fucking hilarious. Like, their banter's going back and forth. They're messing with each other back and forth.
Yeah.
And then this whole scene ends with them walking up into her room, and he's, like, walking with her, and we're in her POV, and she's like, is this motherfucker following me? And she even asks him, like, why are you following me? He's like, my room's right there, and they're, like, in the same hall. I don't know why, I just thought that was really cute. Another favorite part that I like is when Nye was on the ground during the training. So they're training with each other, and he pushes her down on the ground. He straddles her, and then Aaron comes up, and he's like, yeah, I just wanted to see if Nye wanted to come with us to, like, this party or whatever's going after. And Day answers for her, and she's like, no, she's good, thanks.
Yeah.
She's fine. We're going to go do something else after. And she's just like, first of all, he's straddling her. He's just, like, under her. It's so great.
Yeah. And I like that part that comes right after that, too.
Yeah. Oh, when they're in the springs?
Yeah. Is that your next one?
No, that's not my next one. That was a good one, though.
Yeah.
My next one is the drunk Shane. The fucking drunk. From the moment he starts opening up his fucking mouth, you just know he's there to cause trouble.
Yes.
She gets up there, and they're like, oh yeah, we gotta keep the secret, don't tell anybody. And she's like, who would I tell? And he's like, me. From, like, across the room, drinking on the other side of the fire. And you just knew he's about to become a menace. I have some quotes because I didn't want to sum it up. I just wanted to say what was being said.
Yes, please.
And this man is a fucking menace. Immediately, he's, like, shooting her off with, like, because she's there with Aaron. I think they're holding hands too, and she's wearing like a belly shirt. And stuff. Like, she's looking good. She's with this other man. He's drunk, and so he's looking at her, and he's like taunting her, saying a bunch of shit. But one of the things that he says to her is like, something like, "Does that mean you're gonna strip down with him and go and sleep in his room tonight?"
Yeah.
Because before she had slept in his room, because her Ren was like having a good old time by herself, so she didn't have to be in his room. So he's twisting everything that had happened that night and saying things like this, like, are you gonna slip down and get in his bed? And she's like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, nothing at all, I'm just telling the man the truth. Don't you think he deserves to know you were in my bed last night, since he's clinging to you as if you'd be in his bed tonight? Like, this whole time watching, like, oh shit, oh shit, girl, that's embarrassing. What's he gone about over there? Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I love it.
And then it just keeps going, because then he's like, everyone's saying like, yo, you need to calm down, like, give her a minute, and he's like, no, the only thing that'll calm me down is if you give me her.
And his sister's like, you can't just, she's a person. You just can't do that. And you're like, she's a person.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't care. Give me her and I'll shut up. And she's like, fine, I'll go. And so she goes, and he leads her on this, like, romantic trip into this beautiful pond. They have, like, a moment. And then she's like, I think he says something that sort of like turns her off to it or whatever.
He talks about the kids he found that are dead.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Who cares about that shit, right?
Yeah, I don't. But there's a part in here too that I like. When they're walking down to the cave, she's like, what did she say to him? Like, oh, that jealousy doesn't look good on a handsome guy like you. And he stops and he's like, do you think I'm handsome?
Yeah. And she's like, I also say you're an ass, but like you focus on handsome. He says something about like, yeah, or some shit like that.
Yeah. And then even when they're down there too, she was like, oh, let's change the topic. Yeah. And he's like, well, what do you want to talk about? Or she asked him, what do you want to talk about? And he's like, you wearing nothing but my shirt. And then they were kind of silent because she didn't know what to say. And then he's like, did you wear this tonight to punish me? Yeah. And she's like, how would this be punishing you? And he says, because you're not mine. Like these one-liners he's given. So all of this was just foreplay before. All of this nonsense that he was doing. And then we get to the crescendo of this moment, and they start having he's like behind her. He's dilly-dallying down below the belts. He's behind her. They're in the darkness of this cave. And
that's the best part.
Aaron is looking for her.
The best part.
Walking around saying her name in the cave. And he like finishes her off. And then Aaron walks up and finds them. And she's just completed. Yeah. And she's standing there like, and he comes up and he's like, oh, I was looking for you. Are you okay? And this man, Dave, walks around.
So shameful.
Oh my God. He walks around and he says, I'd say she's more than all right, aren't you, little traitor? And I'm just going to quote the whole thing. He moves around to the front of me, and my mouth gaped open as I watched him slip his 2 fingers in between his lips. He winked at me as he slipped his tongue between them. He didn't shield what he was doing in front of Aaron, and I wanted to kill him when he finally pulled those fingers from his mouth. Perfect even. Like, I ascended into another state.
I was like, did he just fucking do that?
See, this is what toxicity gets you.
It gives you a good time.
It gives you a good time. And a man that's straight fingering you, licking his fingers, looking you dead in the eye in front of another man. And like, yeah, it was delicious. And then walking the fuck off.
I was like, I could not. The crazy of that. I was just, when I read that, I read it like, I had to go back. I was like, I gotta reread this.
I did too.
I was like, this is pure perfection.
Yeah. Prince Charming ain't doing that shit.
No!
No, girl, no. Only an unhinged, possessive maniac is doing this shit. Yeah.
And you gotta remember, too, like, I don't think he showed any, like, real, like, this is, like, the first time he actually, like, did anything sexual to her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because all the other times before, it was like it wasn't sexual. Yeah. Because some of my favorite parts are the non-sexual parts right before up to this part. Mm-hmm. that I'll talk about too.
Yo, that part. And you even said the drunk scene, and then you think the drunk scene's gonna be the scene that he makes, but this is really where it ends. All of that, from the moment he opened his mouth to him saying "great" even walking out was masterful. Yep. It was beautiful. Yep. I'm obsessed. That part is great. I'll do one more because I don't know which one's yours are, and I don't want to take all of them because this book is short and there's not a whole lot. Yeah. The other scene is her drunk scene. Yes. She gets drunk. Yes. And she's upset because he does this. He does this masterful move and then just doesn't talk about it.
For like a couple days.
Doesn't acknowledge it, doesn't really even interact with her very much.
No, I don't think he sees her for 3 days.
Yeah, and then so she gets drunk and she ends up going to his place. Uh-huh. And they have some back and forth banter. She comes in, she's like, I want you just to, like, I want to touch you. Like, let's go. Let's get this party started. And he's like, no, you're drunk. I'm not going to play in this because I want you to be calling mine. Like, I want you wanting it. Yeah. And not when you're drunk. And so basically she tells him, like, well, I'm going to make myself come whether it's you or me. Which, yes, girl. Good for her. That's a good line.
I love it. I love it so much.
And then they go back and forth a little bit. And then he sits down. He pulls a chair up. He sits down. He's like,
go ahead.
He's like, yeah, go ahead.
I think he says, show me.
Yeah, well, he says, touch yourself. Yeah. Or he might say, show me. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, touch yourself. Yeah. He said, you said you were going to make yourself come, so show me. Let's go. Yeah. Like, and so she does. She starts doing it. And then he's also, like, he's pouring. So he's watching for a little bit, and then he's doing his own thing. Yeah. And they're doing this together. And then he, like, takes the wine bottle, and he's, like, pouring it on her. Yes. And he starts going down on her. He never sticks it in. They never
No.
do it. But I love this because there's always this scene. There's oftentimes this is a scene where somebody's drunk and they want it, and the other one's like, "No, you're drunk. I'm not going to give it to you."
Yeah.
This is a really good way to execute him not really doing it, but then making her do it. Like, this was brilliant. This whole scene.
It was wonderful.
I'll leave my other two. If you don't mention them, I'll come back and mention them.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
just in case.
So one of my favorite parts is right before the drunk scene. I think it's like not that long before that. Day heals Nye in the springs, and because it's right after he turns Aaron down to go, because he's like, no, we're gonna go to the springs or whatever. Yeah. So because she's hurt, her leg's hurt or whatever. So like he's like, and this is the prelude to what he talks about how he had, because in the drunk scene he references that because they tell Dacre, go to the springs if you're. And he's like, no, because all I could think about is her hands, her legs in my palms or something like that. This is the part he's referring to. Nothing sexual happens in this part, but he uses it against her. So, like, he heals her, which he doesn't heal anybody else. So, like, he heals her, but he's, like, caressing her, and there's, like, the sexual tension. Like, he gets, like, up on her and stuff like that. And then this is right after that, there's boots on the door in Ren's room. And so, like, she's just sitting up against the door. And he's just like, why don't you, like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I can't go in there. And he's like, he says, well, you could just wait there or whatever. And she's like, I guess I'll just go sleep on the couch somewhere. He's like, no, I don't trust you around anybody or anyone around you. And she goes, well, I could do whatever the fuck I want. I'm an adult. I could sleep in Aaron's room if I want. And I'll go ask him then. And he's like, the fuck you will. You either sleep in my room. He's like, come on. You either sleep in my room or you stay in the hall. And she's like, I guess I'll just stay in the hall. He's like, fuck this. He goes and grabs her, picks her up, puts her on her, and brings her to his room and throws her on the bed. And then throws clothes at her, his clothes. And she wears his clothes, and he's just like watching her. And he's like so possessive, and he has no reason to. Because at this point, this is like the first time they're having any true, real interaction. Yeah. That kind of borderlines like the intensity of the obsession that he's showing, but this is like still a very small amount. And like she changed, they sleep in the same bed, and I think at one point they're like kind of cuddled up against each other in the morning, you know, that whole thing. But like nothing happens. I mean, he uses this whole thing about you're gonna strip your clothes down and be in his bed. Yeah, nothing happens. But Ren sees her the next morning, and Ren is like, I've never seen Day take a woman that's been outside my room, because I've done this before. He's never let any of them go into his room. And none of them leave his room without being thoroughly wrecked. Yeah. Because she's just a little disheveled. Yeah. And he's like, she knows that they didn't sleep together. Yeah. So she's like, how is he just going to let you be in his room and not sleep with him? This man whore? Yeah, right? Yeah, because both of them, Ren and, they're like room next to each other, and like...
I like that she makes the joke too, like, yeah, he
did it for my protection.
But it backfired on both of us, because now we can both see when we're sleeping with somebody.
Yeah. It's so crazy. Of course, on the drunk scene, that I love his banter, because it stems from that whole like thing too. So I love how the banter is referencing something that was purely innocent in a way, and he makes it sound so filthy. I was like, that is genius. Yeah. I love it. Then there's the part, of course, the caves, the drunk scene, all that. Naira and her being drunk, giggly. The ending. We have to talk about that in unison, because that is, besides the drunk scene, this ending was like the best cliffhanger ending that yeah, thankfully the second book was out at the time. So like I jumped right into it. You cannot finish this book unless you hate this book. But you cannot finish this book if you like all of it and then not want to jump into the second book, because the punishing revenge sex, like, even she didn't know. She did not know he knew. He knows she's a princess. Instead of going there and having a conversation with her, he refuses to even mention it. Has sex with her, and at her climax, while she's climaxing, he calls her princess, and then uses her actual name, and she is so shocked and scared and stunned. She tries to like get him off, like pushing him off of her, but she ends up climaxing instead. And so by the time she ends up getting him off of her, he has to finish on his own. And then he says something about being he tells her, for being a traitor, she sure opens her legs really quick to a rebel. And then, because she's like, what the fuck? He's like, I know. He's like, and my father wants me to bring you to him. So he's like, you better run.
Run before he sends me on the hunt.
Yeah, so he goes to the bathroom, locks the door, and she just leaves. That is the
end. It's so good. I was laughing my ass off when he goes, that's it, princess. And she's like, huh? He's like, okay. And she's like, they're still having sex. Yeah, they're still doing it.
Not thinking.
And then he says, come for me, Verena. However you say her name.
Yeah.
She literally is like, what did he say?
Yeah.
While coming. I was laughing so fucking hard. Like, oh, girl, he got you. Oh, that was rough.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
No, you just got to ride that wave.
Yeah. Like, oh, well, we're here. We're here. Come with me.
Yeah. Yep. Might as well. Just finish it out. That was so rude.
And she's a virgin.
And she's a virgin.
So in between, before he says her name, and he says all that stuff, he says, I will make you forget all others that came before me. And she goes, there were no others. And now he's like, oh, shit.
But he's like, you know what? I'm in this. Game plan. We're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it almost just made it better for him because he's like, oh, well, now I'm really going to fuck her up.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm really going to
This is really going to fuck with her head.
Yeah.
And then, he's still torn, obviously. Like, he's pissed that she lied to her. Oh, whatever. They both betrayed each other in some way, shape, or form. I think he did a little bit more though. Like,
yeah,
he fucked her up royally. Like, that is some fucked up shit to do, but I love that.
That was the best reveal I have ever read.
Yes.
Yeah, Catelyn.
And the fact that we already knew, like I said, we already know that she's the princess. Like, if we didn't know she was the princess, I don't know how I would react to that.
And we already knew he knew.
Yeah.
Because we were in his POV when he found out, and then we switched to her POV when he comes into the room, and she's there.
Yeah.
Which, that could have planned out better.
Yeah.
That he walks, he's like, oh, great, you're already fucking here, let's go, let's get this going.
Yep. So the fact that we know all the secrets before the actual characters, I love the way the author did that.
Yes.
One of my favorite things. And in fact, I prefer all stories be written that way, because I want to know more. Like, you don't have to have the characters know, but have me know.
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, I would like to know. But yeah, those I have no hated parts.
Same.
There's nothing about this book I hate. I mean, I can't even hate that there's no plot.
No, because that's enough. Man, did you hear those favorite parts we just gave you?
Yeah.
Like, that's... Huh?
You don't need a plot.
I don't need a plot. That is the plot.
In fact, if you were to, make anything lengthier, like any of the plot, if you were to put plot in this, I would probably be so aggravated. I would want to go back.
Get it out of my way.
You're
in the way of the smut.
Yeah.
You're in the way of the sexual tension. Yeah. Get me out of here.
It was one sexual tension after another. And, a lot of those fantasy books, they do a lot of training. Oh, because she's training in this book with him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, but the training was used as an opportunity to put the sexual tension in there.
Yes.
So, I hate when the books just do only the training. Obviously, I know there's supposed to be training, but, can we put the sexual tension in the training?
Everything was there to put the sexual tension.
Yeah.
To put the sexual tension in between them. Every part of this book was just there to lift these other scenes up. That's literally it. And yeah, I'm not mad about it. I love it. I have two things to discuss that aren't my favorite parts, but I did like them. When he finds out that so he gets his letter from his grandmother intercepted by his dad.
Yeah.
His dad's calling him in to talk about it. His dad asks him, who is this she referring to? Who's the princess? He immediately is like, oh shit, I know who that is. But when his dad asks him, he's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at this dude, he's so down bad.
Yeah.
He's like, and he even knows it, but he's like, nah, I don't know. I haven't met a princess before in my life.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, the girl that's with me every day? I don't know. She can't be a princess.
She ain't no princess. She's got a mark on her. Did you see it?
Yeah. Did you not see all those scars? No, it's not a princess.
Yeah, I love that shit. Because he's acting the entire time.
Yeah.
He doesn't like her, she's a traitor and blah, blah, blah. But when push comes to shove and somebody's asking about her, he's like, I don't know. There's another really good part that I thought was executed well. When Naira and Ren are forced to go with the rebel commander to go meet with their informant, who ends up being a high-ranking official next to the king. We know the story that she gives is that she lived in the palace, but anybody who's a high rank would know her station if they saw her. So she's there and she's hiding in the trees and she's freaking out because she knows that if their informant sees her, that he's gonna know that she's the princess. he eventually does. I think she makes some noise or something, and he's like, "Who's out there?" And he has to step out, and he recognizes her and kind of says like, "The princess," blah blah blah. This moment I thought was really good because I was actually scared for her.
Yeah.
Like in this moment, like, oh shit, they're gonna blow your cover. Like, and then the aftermath when they end up killing the informant because he's like spazzes out, and I think it's Ren who throws a blade at his throat, which was great. I like seeing Ren in action. But then the aftermath of the rebel leader coming after her, like choking her, like, who the fuck are you? Yeah. Like that. That was great. I was hoping more would amount to it after Day saw the marks and knew that it was his dad. I was hoping a little bit more would have happened there, but it's okay. A little bit more happens later.
I was gonna say there is a part though that he tends to her because she's like, they're like, he's like, take her to the healers, and she's like, no, I don't want to go to the healers. I'll just have Day heal me. And her sister's like, what? Mm-hmm. He doesn't heal, and she's like, oh, he did the other day, and it was like, what? And he's like, no big deal. I'll heal her. After he hasn't been healing anybody, so he goes and he takes her to this like medic room, and as he's healing her, she's just like, "Are we not going to talk about anything?" He's like, "Talk about what? Say it. Say what you want to talk about." And she goes, he's like, "The fact that I had my fingers in you," or something like that. And I was just like, "How do you how do you flip that toxicity switch so quick?" Like he went from like tendering, taking care of her to like, "Yeah, say it." Fucking say it.
And in his head too, he is also very like sweet. He's talking about her so sweetly, but then out of his mouth, tell me, say it.
Yeah, I'm like, how in his POV, you don't hear any of the toxicity.
No.
So it's like you think, oh, he's just a good guy, and then he talks, and you're like, dude, you are fucking toxic. So it's like it's really hard to sit there and be like, this guy is just completely toxic. It's like, no, because in his head, in his POV, he's actually not.
Yeah, no, he's great.
And you know what's funny is like everybody in the rebel world thinks he's like God. They love him. Like all the girls love him. They all want to be with him. And his sister said he's not like this to anybody else. Like he's decent to everybody else. He'll talk to everybody else. He just doesn't give them the time of day. But with her, all of his attention's on her, and it's all toxic because he hates because his mom died.
Yeah.
From the king.
And he knows she's a traitor, but he just can't figure out like what it is. And I like because she has branded on her a fake symbol that she thought was gonna get her into the club, but he calls her out on that bullshit right away. Like, yo, do you know how many people have died for this? Do you know how many people who sacrificed their lives for this? And here you are just like walking around with it, like no respect. You didn't earn it. You didn't do shit. So I like that he has this view of her that way. Like, you're a fucking traitor. I don't know who you are. I know that you're a fucking traitor. I know that you're a liar, but like, you hot though. So I like you.
I also, because the thing is about this too, he's not really, I don't think he really hates her. Obviously he doesn't hate her. He hates because she worked in the palace, and he knows that. So he hates that she stands for working for the palace. And so it's not necessarily her he hates, but he struggles with it. And I think that's where his toxicity comes from. Because obviously there's book 2. When you read book 2, you start to see a little different side of who he is. Because now he's got to deal with the fact that the girl, he realizes he likes her. Yeah. He said it even before that ending that he's like falling for her. So like now he's got to deal with the fact that she betrayed him, but he also betrayed her. Mm-hmm. And so can you imagine what his mind is after he told her to run? So book 2 is going to be the continuation of that.
So good.
Yeah, I hope you guys watch the next episode because that's definitely what we're going to be talking about.
Yep. So I think that wraps up our discussion for this one.
Yeah.
And then that's literally it. We gave you all of the good parts of the book, honestly. But yeah, so like Kristen said, the next one's going to be The Hunted Heir. I'm excited. Make sure you have it with you before you start this one because you're going to literally want to jump right into it.
With that ending, how could you not? If you like this book, obviously there's some 1 stars and Goodreads. They probably didn't get to the second book, but if you like this book, you definitely want to know what the hell's going to happen in the second book.
Yes.
So
read it and come back and join us.
Yes.
For the next episode. I think it's like 200 pages too. So
yeah, it's a very short book. Yeah.
I think you'll have enough time to read it within the week. So come and visit us. Also, if you want to follow along, follow us on all the socials. We're here, kind of. Always on YouTube, though.
Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see what we're doing.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.